I started to think, well, who can I get to sing this song, you know? And I thought of Sinatra, and I thought of Perry Como, and the lyric and the story and the message was too important. And I said, I don't know. And one day, about 4 o'clock in the morning, I jumped up out of bed, and I said, holy smokes, Orson Welles. Now here's this. So I called Orson, and I said to him, Orson, you remember the idea I told you about? He said, refresh my memory. And I told him. And he said, well, what do you want with me? I said, I want you to make a record. There's a pause. He says, Jerry, are you crazy? He says, I don't sing. I said, Orson, if I wanted to sing, I would have gone after Sinatra. He said, hold on a second, Jerry. He said, read me the lyric. I read him the lyric on the phone. This was the God's truth. He says, Jerry, I'll do it. Didn't ask me for any money, any advance, nothing. And this is how Orson did that. And after the recording session, as I said, we had a big orchestra and the Ray Charles singers. Orson got a hold of me, and he gave me a hug and a kiss, and he says, Jerry, thank you for bringing me into this. If you ever want to know about a thrill of your life, I got the thrill of my life. This is Orson Welles thanking me for bringing him into this for no money.
That's pretty fun. That's a great story.
You know? And then the rest is history. It's all over the world.
I never even knew he made a record. I had no idea of it until last night.
Well, as a matter of fact, the record actually, they broke the record on WNEW in New York, and then they broke it out here. And I got a call from Chuck Southcott. I don't know if you know Chuck.
I know him, again, by reputation, yeah.
Chuck, I was living in Phoenix then, and Chuck called me and said, we get so many phone calls on this record. He said, it's unbelievable. And the same thing happened in New York with the WNEW.
Yep. We have a promise of a couple of copies of it. They're going to get us a couple of copies of it.
Well, we're actually trying to, we're going to, in a kind of a roundabout way here, we're going to try to bring it up on the air here. We're going to snip it around on the internet and bring it up.
All right.
You mean tonight?
I guess tonight.
Yeah, in a few minutes.
So, Jerry, you got to keep listening.
I'll listen on the radio. I don't know. No, I'll tell you what. If you tell me where, give me the address. I'll make sure you get some copies by messenger.
Well, we will have it, but okay, it's KABC, of course. But listen on the radio. We're going to play it for you before you could get it to us.
I got the radio on right now.
All right. Thanks for your call.
Listen.
Yeah.
If there's some wonderful stories about Orson. If you care to hear them,
I'd love to.
Let me know.
All right. We have your number.
Okay.
Mark, do we have a number? Okay. I'll be in touch with you, Jerry.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye. It's 13 minutes after 10 o'clock. You can find almost anything on this show. Almost anything whatsoever can come up on this program. And it often does, as it did last night.
How scary is that, though?
I mean, Orson Welles does a record. I never even heard of the record, and the next night...
It's very interesting.
All right, now we're going to go to our traffic report in just a moment. We're not going to do the record first, right? We're not going to do this record right now.
No.
We'll do it a little bit later.
You have time for another
call. All right, we'll take a call first then. Okay. Let's talk to David in Los Angeles. Hi, David. You're on the air on KABC.
Yeah, hi, Ira. I remember when I was learning colonial American history, what struck me with a particular interest was the rise of the abolitionist movements in the early 1830s. Now, my question is this, Ira. Why at that particular time did it come about?
Well, that's a very good question, and the answer is it had a lot to do with the rise of the Industrial Revolution.
Uh-huh.
After the end of the War of 1812, America turned inward and began to devote itself more to concerns of building up the nation internally than it did to relations with Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, the development of steam power and machinery was changing everybody's life, and changing it so rapidly that people had trouble adjusting to the changes. Well, when that happened, with the construction of canals and then a little bit later railroads, factories, life for everybody was changing. With the change in society came a questioning of any kind of social institutions.
Yes.
And all of the social institutions, everything from marriage to menus to clothes that people wore, religion, education, everything was challenged, was treated critically. And of all the institutions, the one that eventually attracted the most attention and the reforms came together on. All these reform movements concentrated in time on slavery. And what really changed slavery, anti-slavery, from a primarily southern movement to a primarily northern movement was the Nat Turner Rebellion in Southampton County, Virginia in 1831.
Right, right.
Because prior to that, Virginia had considered compensated emancipation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And would have probably done it if they could have figured out a way to get the money. Anti-slavery was a movement in the South prior to 1831. But after the Nat Turner Rebellion, in which 50-some-odd slaveholders and whites were killed, anti-slavery became a bugaboo to the South because of the tremendous fear, the tremendous terror of what would happen if the slaves were not controlled. And the South closed ranks against the anti-slavery movement from the North.
Yes. Would you also say that there was a term called the Second Great Awakening?
Yes.
The Second Great Awakening and the rise of evangelicalism.
Yes. That also took place at approximately the same time.
At approximately the time. One other quick question, too, Ira.
Well, that'll have to wait till after we do the traffic report. Okay? We'll get back to Dave in just a moment. We'll talk a little bit more about American history. 1-800-222-KABC is the toll-free telephone number. With the traffic report, here's Stan Green.
Thank you. Starting out with a KABC traffic alert in Orange on the 22 westbound Main Street off-ramp, an injury accident, vehicle into a light pole. In Ontario on the 60 westbound before Mountain Avenue, somebody lost some debris of some kind in the second lane from the left. In Lakewood on the 605 northbound Carson Street off-ramp, 3-car crash blocking the off-ramp. And in Paramount on the 105 westbound just past the 710, a disabled vehicle blocking the second lane from the left. For the KABC Dependable Traffic Update, I'm Stan Green.
Hello, I'm John Glenn. If you close your eyes for a minute, no sight, can you imagine how your life would change if that were permanent? No reading, no TV, never see your children again? And that may be you. If you're one of the 3 million Americans who have glaucoma and don't even know it. Untreated, it will slowly steal your sight until it's too late. With early detection from an easy test, it's really no problem, as I know from personal experience. Many, many years ago, my glaucoma was diagnosed early, it was treatable, my vision today is excellent. I was even able to make a second space flight, and looking back at Earth from space is a view I'll never forget. Being able to see is a precious blessing. Don't take a chance. Check with your eye doctor as I did, so the world will always be a beautiful sight to behold from space or from right here on Earth. To learn more, call 1-800-391-EYES.
KABC, because we care.
I'm John Culver, Executive Director of the Wildlife Land Trust. During the last century, half of the world's forests and wetlands disappeared. Last year, 3 million additional acres were lost just to development. We were founded in 1993 by the Humane Society of the United States to help caring landowners protect their properties from such irreversible wildlife losses. If you own sanctuary land and you would like to have it protected for wildlife forever, we can help you do this. Following a visit from us to confirm your land's wildlife values, we will then help you legally dedicate your property as a wildlife sanctuary that we will permanently protect. To learn more about how the Wildlife Land Trust can help you save your land for wildlife forever, call 1-800-729-SAVE. That's 1-800-729-SAVE.
KABC, because we care.
Art Deprivation Hotline. What's your situation?
Please, you have to help me. It's my daughter. I think she might hurt herself.
Okay, please slow down, ma'am, and tell me what's going on.
Her arms and legs are moving all over the place. They're going in all different directions.
Okay,
Please.
ma'am, is that music I hear in the background?
What?
Music.
Yeah, I was doing some housework, and I thought it might be nice to put on the radio.
Wait, ma'am, is that when it all started?
Yes, it was. I turned on the radio, and then my daughter heard the music, and she just lost control.
I need you to focus, ma'am. I think she might be trying to dance.
What?
She's trying to dance.
That's dancing?
Yes, ma'am.
No. I've seen dancing, and that's not it.
The less art kids get, the more it shows. To learn more about the importance of arts education, please visit us at americansforthearts.org. Art. Ask for more. A public service message brought to you by Americans for the Arts and the Ad Council.
KABC, because we care.
790 KABC. The right station, the right time. Get everything you want to know to get you through the day with Ken and Company. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9. Then it's the radio version of the hit TV show, The Radio Factor with Bill O'Reilly from 9 to 11. Review the day's issues with Al Rantel from 11 to 11:45. Then it's Talk Radio's fastest growing personality, Sean Hannity from noon to 3. Larry Elder drives you and his opinions home from 3 to 7. And Al Rantel returns at 7 with the stuff you'll talk about tomorrow. Talk Radio 790 KABC, where America comes first. United we stand. Talk Radio 790 KABC.
You sheltered me from harm, kept me warm.
No, you got me completely. I never... No, you know, Mario told me what group this was before the show. I never heard of them.
You never heard of Bread, huh?
No.
The Bread was a popular group in the late 60s, early 70s. David Gates is the lead singer. Really beautiful voice. And one of the songs I'm going to play later, it's called If. I know you'll hear it. I know you'll know that one. That was their monster smash.
Don't be so sure. All right, 21 minutes after 10 o'clock. Let's get back to David, who had one more question about the anti-slavery movement in America. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there was also rumors that in the North, even though the abolitionist movement had a lot of strength going, after a while, it sort of tapered off a little bit because many white working class whites were afraid that if slaves were freed, it would create competition. What do you make of that one?
Well, of course, it's true that in New York City, particularly, where the Irish immigrants were pouring into the country, they were competitors with blacks on the docks.
Yeah.
And there was a great deal of ill feeling between the blacks and the Irish.
Yes.
Culminating in the New York City draft riots in 1863 when black people were hunted down in the streets.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And one quickie, Ira. Can I just get one quickie in?
Oh, well, let's do that another night. Let's get somebody else a chance to talk. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, so many people want to talk. We just got to keep moving a little bit. Hi, Harry. You're on the air on KABC Talk Radio 790, and I'm Ira Fistell.
This is Harry. I want to talk about the Democratic win in the state and the Republican win in the nation. I understand that we had a Republican controller now.
We do?
I'm asking.
Well, the last I saw, there were still a number of votes that had to be tabulated, and I don't know who has actually won that race. It was announced that Wesley had won, but that was pending a lot of uncounted ballots yet. So I really don't know who was going to wind up holding that final edge.
Is Wesley Democrat?
He's the Democrat, yeah.
And what does the controller do? I forgot.
Well, the controller is the state's financial officer. The state's, the day-to-day operation of the state finances. The controller signs the checks, pays the bills, that kind of thing.
What difference would it make whether we had a Republican or...
Not a lot.
Not a lot?
Not a lot. Probably almost no difference at all.
What Republican did win in the state?
Well, that was the only office that was close was that one. All the others were Democratic wins.
Okay. What is this going to mean for the for conservatism in the country?
Well, it obviously gives the president a big boost in trying to get his program through the Congress, because he now has Republican control of both houses. That doesn't mean that automatically anything that he proposes will pass, and it doesn't mean that automatically any conservative judges that he appoints will all automatically be confirmed, but it certainly will make it a lot easier.
When was the last time we had Democrats in both houses and a Democratic president?
You mean Republicans?
I'm sorry, Republicans.
I believe in the Eisenhower administration. I think that was the last time.
Okay.
Where you had, you had Republican control of the Senate and the House and a Republican president. I think the last time was in the 1950s.
I have a question for you. I don't know how you're going to answer this, or if you're going to answer this, since you're working in radio.
Well, I can try. What is it?
I guess it's not fair to ask you this. Why are some of the radio jocks so controversial or so asinine in their remarks, like one of the jocks come on and say something like, "If you see a sniper, shoot him."
Oh, yes. I heard that one. In fact, I commented about it. Well, the answer is, number one, they may actually feel that way, and number two, even if they don't, it makes for ratings, and that's what they're after.
Yeah, but what is their target audience when they say?
Well,
I'll give you another example. One of them said the other night, "We don't want to hear from those bedwetting Democrats out there." Things like that. I
well,
mean, what is their target audience with those?
Obviously, so they're talking to a group that they want to attract, which would be primarily men under 50 white males, basically. I would guess that that's probably the target audience.
Another example is the one said today, "If you don't back the president, you got no balls."
Well, you know, they can say anything they want to say. You don't have to listen.
That's true, but I'm just wondering what is that audience? I mean,
Well, it is primarily a working white male audience. That's the big audience for talk radio. Conservatives outnumber liberals as listeners to talk radio.
Okay. All right, I was just wondering what...
Yeah. And women, by the way, I don't know whether women outnumber men generally. I know on my shows, traditionally, women have always outnumbered men. Although we always get more calls from men. But we've always had a predominantly female audience, more women than men. I don't know if that's true of some of those other shows.
I've listened to talk radio for a lot of years. At least Ray Bream, I understand he's in declining health now.
Yeah, well, Ray's he's better. He had surgery and he's better, but he's retired.
Well, he's one of my least favorite people. I mean, we're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. But at least when I listened to his show when he was on every night, it did have some substance.
Oh, yeah.
And they brought up subjects there that if I didn't agree with them, I'd research them and I'd make my own decision on them.
Yeah.
Because his callers...
Well, Ray is one of the great professionals in this business, and I had the highest admiration for him. He is in the radio business for, I think, 50 years. He's been in it close to 50 years, if not 50. And always a gentleman, and always an entertaining interviewer. He's just a great personality, and I am proud to be able to call him a friend.
Right, but now, of course, I can't call any names, but some of these shows, the hosts are like stand-up comedians.
Well,
it's like going to the comedy club.
What do you expect me to say to that? I'm going to pass. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Harry.
Bye-bye.
28 minutes after 10 o'clock. No, Ray and I have been friends for many years, for a long time. I think 15 years. He came on the air right after me, so we'd see each other every night. And while we didn't always agree, we always, we're always able to talk to each other, and I have the highest admiration for Ray as a radio personality and as a gentleman. So much for that. Okay, it's now 28 minutes after the hour, and let's talk to Winston and Whittier. Hi, Winston. What can I do for you this evening?
Yeah, howdy. We've been going around and around about capitalism and socialism and even Jesus' involvement in the subject.
Yeah, that came up a while back, I remember.
Yeah. Well, I came up with two, being a deacon in a church, I came up with two parables in which Christ very clearly endorses capitalism.
That's interesting because there wasn't any capitalism at the time he was alive. But
well, for instance, he says you should have put. He has in the parable of the talents. He has three servants that are given money, and the master goes away, comes back, and he wants to know what happened with the money. And two of the servants, one given a lot, one given a little, have doubled the money, and the third one has not. He says to the ones that doubled the money, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That these right-acting servants were rewarded. He says to the one that dug a hole and hid the money, "You should have put my money," this is a quote, "you should have put on my money on deposit with the bankers so that I would have received it back with interest. Throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth."
Jesus actually said that, huh?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That's one of the parables. Another parable of the tenants. He has a man who goes out and buys a piece of land. He develops the land. He plants a vineyard. He builds a wall. He builds a wine press. He rents it out to some people, some farmers. he goes on his way. He sends his servants to collect his part of the profit, and they're murdered, beaten, murdered, whatever. He then finally, after 2 servants have been treated that way, he sends his sons, his only son, the Reds, the Marxists, as it were. They say if we kill this kid, that's the end of the heir, and we'll be able to keep the vineyard. And Jesus used this as an analogy of God sending the prophets who were beaten and killed, and then sending his own son who was killed. So in both of those cases, in one case you've got an investor, and in the other case you've got an absentee landlord. But the one that
well, the second one is, I can see, a good deal more religious than financial. But you want to hang on a second, Winston? I'll come back to you. We got news to do right now.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're going to take time out quickly for some news with Stan Green. Stan?
Thank you, Ira. From the KABC News Center, here are the headlines. The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board investigators continue to look into Thursday's single-engine plane crash adjacent to John Wayne Airport. The Orange County Register reports that the V-tailed Beach Bonanza crashed into the dirt about 100 yards short of the airport runway. LA Mayor James Hahn is heading to Asia next week. He plans to take 15 business leaders with him. He announced the invitation and hopes that their businesses would benefit from an increase in Asian trade and tourism. KABC News Time, 10:31. Here's the ABC 7 forecast. Clear, very clear, windy, northwest winds to 20 miles per hour, lows in the mid-50s. Veterans Day, sunny and warm, highs in the mid-70s to the lower 80s. 64 in Canoga Park, 65 in Fullerton, and 67 in LA at the Civic Center. On the KABC Traffic Watch, a KABC traffic alert in orange. On the 22 westbound Main Street off-ramp, an injury accident, vehicle into a light pole. Fullerton, 91 westbound before Brookhurst Street, a disabled vehicle blocking lanes. With local and national headlines every half hour and when news breaks, I'm Stan Green in the KABC News Center. Now more of the Ira Fistell Show coming up.
Have you always wanted a home with beautiful hardwood floors? Don't let high prices get in the way of having your home just the way you want it, especially now, because Hardwood Superstore is having their biggest sale of the year.
We'll have reports from most parts of the world 24 hours a day on Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Baby, I'ma want you. Baby, I'ma need you.
I can tell you one thing, he needs a lesson in English grammar. Never passed my English class. KABC time is 24 minutes before 11 o'clock on Talk Radio 790. Let's get back to Winston here briefly. Winston, you mentioned those are parables. Where do you find those in the Bible?
Those are in Matthew.
In Matthew?
Yes, Matthew 25:15 and Matthew 21:33.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, there's different meanings to them. He's talking, when he talks about the talents, which is an amount of money.
Yeah.
Kind of money. He's saying that he's given us gifts, and it's our duty to develop our gifts, use them in his service, and glorify God. We are not to just sit around and do nothing. But again, the parable he uses is an investor. Now, the last one I wanted to come up with was Sam Levinson. You remember him?
Sure, the storyteller. Yeah.
He had a parable of the inventory, where a guy the old man comes up to the department store, pounds on the door, says closed. His son comes out. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Papa, the store is closed for inventory." He says, "It's Tuesday. You got to be working here. You got to be making money. What's the matter with you?" He says, "Papa, we have to figure out our profit." And the old man says, "Look, you get in that department store and find me a cigar box, 2 spools of thread, 3 needles, and a thimble." The kid says, "Why?" He says, "You do what your father says." So the kid comes back with the stuff. It took him a little while to find it. The kid says, "What's this for?" The father says, 50 years ago, I started with what's in that box." He says, "Open the doors. It's all profit. Everything else is profit."
Mm-hmm.
Now, my point is that the old man, through his drive, through his industry, through his imagination, has created wealth, not just for his son, but for 100 or 200 people that made their living and raised their families and paid their bills on the basis of what they earned in that business. Plus, they then go out and spend money. So I'm saying that when you say that government can create wealth, government can create jobs, it can spend money, it can do all kinds of things, but it never makes a profit. Profit is made only by driving people who do not exploit the workers. If they do, they're criminals. You can always be a sinner, but a decent man does not exploit his workers. He's got a symbiotic relationship with them.
Well, you'd have a good deal of trouble, finding a lot of people who feel that way about it. Let's put it this way: I think, it's wonderful that you can believe that, but often it just isn't true. Often it just is not true. That Marx used to say that, and I know you're not going to like that, but Marx did say that wealth was extracted from the workers.
He talked about what he called the surplus theory of value.
That's right, but he said that the capitalist class gets its wealth by abusing its workers. Now, I think Marx was wrong there. By the way, I think he was completely wrong on that one. But it's the labor theory of value. That's what he was talking about there.
What you end up with is his alternative to communist societies. Also, they say that in capitalism, man exploits man, and in communism, it's the other way around.
That's a great line. I like that one.
In communist societies, they also try to build wealth, but in the process, since they don't have the profit motive, all of this stuff was ordained. This stuff works. When you don't have the profit motive, when you don't have people working for their own benefit, you end up having to put a gun to their head.
Well, yeah, that's been the big problem with communism, of course, is always that there's no initiative. Let's leave it there because we got other people who want to talk, but it's always interesting to hear you talk, Winston. Thank you. And you were good tonight, I got to tell you. 20 minutes before 11 o'clock on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Mario.
We got it.
We got the song.
We got the Orson song. Now, keep in mind, the audio is not that great.
Okay.
But you can definitely, you'll definitely hear it.
All right, you want to do it right now?
Here we go.
Yes, this is what he said to me.
Well, come on, Orson.
What it is to be young.
Well, there he is, that enormous voice.
You don't know what it is to be old.
That's it.
That's all there is?
Just a 30-second cut, yeah.
There must be more, obviously.
Yeah.
That voice, God, his voice is down in the sub-basement.
Yeah, it's like Barry White's way down there. It's very distinct.
Way down there, yeah.
James Earl Jones, too.
Yeah, but I think this is even lower than James Earl Jones. All right, Orson Welles. 1-800-222-KABC is the number, and Dennis on his car phone is the next caller. Hi, Dennis, you're on the air.
Basically, I just had a question on how the Federal Reserve System works. I understand that the dollar is backed up by a promise.
There is actually no backing of any money. Money is created and works simply because people have confidence in it. Money is confidence. That's all money is. I go to the store with the green piece of paper with George Washington's picture on it, and the reason it works is because when I give it to the store, I know the store is going to accept it and give me $1 worth of, milk or whatever it is. But if the storekeeper didn't know that green piece of paper with George Washington's picture on it was going to be able to get him something, he wouldn't accept it, and it wouldn't be worth anything. It isn't the piece of paper. The piece of paper isn't magic. It isn't the piece of paper, it's what the piece of paper stands for. And that is confidence in the whole economy. Hello? Are you there? Guess we lost Dennis. But
I'm here still.
Oh, there. Okay. Well, that's what money is. Money expresses simply confidence in the economy.
Okay. So how does the dollar fluctuate? How does it go up and down in value?
Well, it goes up and down in value largely depending on how many dollars are in circulation relative to the amount of goods and services there is to buy. When you get too much currency in circulation, too much money, I shouldn't say currency, but if you get too much money in circulation, then the value of each individual dollar goes down. If you don't have enough money in circulation, there are too many goods and services, then you get a depression because nobody can afford to buy anything. And the value of money goes up because nobody has any.
Okay, and was the dollar at any time backed up by gold?
Yes, it was, but that's the foolish thing about it. That's why it isn't anymore, because it has nothing to do with the amount of gold you can dig out of the ground. You know, there's a wonderful musical, Finian's Rainbow. In Finian's Rainbow, they discussed at the Fort Knox and all the gold in Fort Knox. Oh, they dug it out of the ground. What do they do with it? Put it back in the ground again. And that's what makes it, and that's why it's so silly. To tie the money supply to an artificial commodity like gold is just unrealistic. It has nothing to do with gold. The real backing of any money is the confidence of the public in the economy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. 1-800-222-KABC is the toll-free telephone number. I don't know where Dennis was, but we're getting a lot of background noise there. Okay, what we're going to do next is take the 1045 traffic report, and then we'll continue with more of your calls. We're here till 12 midnight. I'm Ira Fistell. 1-800-222-5222 is the toll-free telephone number. There are some lines open, and we know what we haven't had tonight? We haven't had any women on the air, not one. Nothing but males tonight. What is this, a stag party? See if we can get some women on the air. 1-800-222-KABC. And now, speaking of women not on the air, here's another stag, Stan Green.
All right, let's start out with a KABC traffic alert in Orange. On the 22 westbound, Main Street off-ramp, an injury accident, vehicle into a light pole. This will make the off-ramp closed for an unknown duration. Santa Fe Springs, 5 southbound at Rosecrans Avenue, metal debris in lanes, and a few cars on the right shoulder with flat tires. In Ontario, on the 15 southbound past Europa Street, an accident with 4 big rigs involved. Hollywood Freeway 101 northbound, right at the Santa Monica Boulevard off-ramp, a disabled vehicle blocking the ramp. And on the 15 northbound over Cajon Pass, someone lost a mattress. It's in middle lanes. With a KABC traffic, dependable traffic update, I'm Stan Green.
Hey, I'm Jamal.
Hi, I'm Sally.
Hola, soy Miguel.
My grandpa died of lung cancer because he smoked 3 packs a day.
My aunt lives in a town where the air can be so bad, she has to stay inside a lot.
I have asthma. So does my sister. So does my mother. Clean air.
KABC, where America comes first. The First Amendment is alive and well. Talk Radio 790, KABC.
Yes, this is what he said to me.
I know what it is to be young. But you don't know what it is to be old.
There you go. Orson Welles again. We ought to make that a theme song or something. KABC time is 12 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's go back to the phones and talk to Vincent in Huntington Beach. Hi, Vincent. You're on the air on KABC.
Hi, Ira. I bought an old car, and they only had an AM radio in it.
Yeah.
And I realized after turning through the dials, there's no music on AM other than Hispanic music, perhaps, in the Disney Channel. And I was thinking at that time, I wonder what happened to radio and the evolution of radio. And the guy was trying to sell me a satellite radio for my car, and he said that's the next thing that's coming, and the radio will be dead in 10 to 20 years, and you're going to have one anyway. Is that where we're headed with radio?
Well, I know people in the radio business who don't think so.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I've asked about it, should I be on satellite radio? But it's expensive. You have to buy the equipment, and it's a sizable amount of money. And when you get it, what do you get that you don't get otherwise? What do you get that you don't get for free tuning on the radio? So, I don't know.
Well, he was saying that the quality of the sound is better, and I don't know if the variety of programming is any different, but like you said, it will be expensive. But how has radio evolved in the last 40 years? Have we done it? It seems like it's pretty much the same as it's been.
Well, the big difference was the rise of FM. When FM, with its better signal, I guess, took the music business out of AM. basically. And AM was left as a primarily talk, news, and sports medium. That was the big change.
Yeah, and, historically, people used to listen to the radio all the time. It seems like now everyone wants to watch television.
Well, actually, there's more radio listening today than ever before.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Radio is bigger now than it's ever been. However, it's not the kind of entertainment that you used to get on radio. At the sitcom type show, the half-hour show, that's all on television. But what radio does well, it does extremely well as a music medium or as an information medium, and there is no comparison. And television cannot do what radio can do. Nobody's ever done talk successfully on television,
right?
Because it's a one-way. Television is basically a one-way medium up until now.
The one thing that I don't like about talk radio is there are too many conservatives on. I'm not really much of a liberal, but I really get tired of the conservative viewpoint, and I think if they had some liberal hosts on, perhaps they'd attract the liberal audience.
Well, except that you see, the reason is that there are more conservative listeners over the years than there have been liberal listeners. So if you're going for ratings, you go where the listeners are.
Yeah, I wonder how that affects our politics the day in and day out.
I don't know if it does. I think there was a lot of talk in '94 about how much talk radio had to do with the big Republican sweep in '94. And, it may have had something to do with it, but I doubt that it has as much to do with it as some people think.
Whatever happened to being unbiased in their presentation?
Oh, I can tell you what happened to that. The Fairness Doctrine was repealed. We had a federal doctrine called the Fairness Doctrine that said if you presented one side of a controversial issue, you had to present both sides. And that was done away with around 1980-something. And since then, there's been no requirement of fairness whatsoever. You could theoretically have a radio station that would say over and over and over again, John Smith is great and George Jones is a jerk. And say it over and over and over and over again 125,000 times an hour. There's no reason why they couldn't do that legally.
Yeah. Well, I think that's too bad because you need some of that unbiased presentation, and we're really going to the extremes on that, I think.
That's what we try to do around here on this show. Okay?
All right, thanks, Eric.
Hey, thanks very much. Bye-bye. And it's now 9 minutes before 11 o'clock. 1-800-222-5222 is the telephone number. Matt in Redondo Beach. Let's talk about voting rights. Hi, Matt.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Actually, this kind of came up in an argument or a discussion I was having the other day with somebody about if voting was a right or a privilege. And so I kind of went to look to the Constitution to see if it was in there. And, they talk a lot about the electorates, the electoral college and stuff. But then when I read one section, it says each state shall appoint in a manner as the legislator thereof may direct the number of electors.
That's right. That's in presidential elections only, of course.
So does that mean that they can appoint them by election or any means they want?
That means any means they want. And originally, back in the 18th century, there were no popular elections in most states.
So, for example, where does...
For president, I should say.
Where does it ever come up that you have to be a citizen to vote?
Oh, that's in the Constitution also. They're in the 14th Amendment and the 26th Amendment. Voting is described, and I'll read the 26th to you. This is the newer one, 1971. The right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any other state on account of age. It guarantees anybody 18 years old or older.
That, and then there's one on
it says a right. It says it's a right. The right to vote, and then the 14th Amendment has the same thing for former slaves. So
it seems to me that's kind of modifying it. It seems like where it says that a non-citizen could not vote.
Well, it does. It says the citizens of the United States have the right to vote. It doesn't say that non-citizens have the right to vote.
Isn't that amending something?
No.
It's in an amendment. The original Constitution never says that you have to be a citizen to vote.
It doesn't say anything about who you have to be to vote. Okay. The states make that decision.
So the states make that decision. So could a state, or I guess I should put it this way, could a state say non-citizens can vote?
Probably not, because the Constitution says the right of citizens of the United States to vote.
Yeah, but that's defining as the ages and the races. And
well, but
this came out from
the pretty clear interpretation is that if you're not a citizen, you don't have a right to vote.
You don't think a non-citizen under, say, maybe taxation without representation could sue for the right to vote?
No, probably not. Probably not. No.
Okay. So you're basically just saying it's all in the amendment.
Well, the amendments are part of the Constitution as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, but to me, it almost sounds like it's amending. It's saying, okay, instead of 21, you can be 18, or you can't deny based on race. You can't do it, but it never says you can't deny on being a citizen or not.
But the implication is very clear when it says the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be impeded by anything else.
Okay, right.
So it's a pretty strong argument.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. It's an interesting thing to bring up, because it doesn't actually say in the Constitution, in the original document, it doesn't say who has a right to vote. That was left to the states. Okay, who's up next here? It's 5 minutes before the hour. Let's talk to Curtis in Westminster. Hi, Curtis.
Ira, forgive me if you've been asked this question and answered it 100 times. I suspect you might have. But I've heard from recently, and I have a degree in history, too, and I don't know the answer to this. Mine's more contemporary American history, but Lincoln, I have heard that Lincoln would have allowed slavery if it would have avoided a civil war. Is that true?
Well, Lincoln said early in his term as president that if he could have the Union with no slavery, he would abolish slavery. If he could have the Union with slavery, he would have to have slavery. But he could not see a Union that could endure part slavery and part not. However, he also later on changed his mind about that and decided that slavery was a moral wrong and must be destroyed. So when you talk about Lincoln and slavery, it depends on what stage of his life you're talking about.
I got you. And quick question on Orson Welles. Wasn't he the one that did the War of the Worlds that got everybody?
Yes, the great 1938 War of the Worlds, yes.
Okay. Were there any repercussions against him or the radio stations, the producers, or anything?
Well, yeah, they adopted a code where they don't do that kind of thing anymore. They will always announce this is not a news program. This is a drama.
Yeah, but if you tune in the middle of it,
Yeah, well, that's what happened in that case. People were very irrational when they tuned in. They didn't think of trying another station. They didn't think of calling the radio station. They just ran. They just got terrified.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.
But there is in the broadcast. Broadcasters today don't do that kind of thing. They will always inform you if it's a drama or not a news program.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, it's not done anymore where you deliberately try to hoodwink the public, as they did. It was October 30th. It was not Halloween, but it was the night before Halloween. It was a Sunday night when the Mercury Theater was on the air.
Right.
And most of the country was listening to Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. They were the underdogs in that time period, and they tried something different. And boy, did it succeed?
Yeah. You were talking earlier, real quick, about the radio. The next thing in AM radio is going to be, I'm sure maybe you haven't heard about it, digital AM radio.
Yeah, but they've been talking about it for years now.
Yeah. Well, we might get it here. I don't know. Who knows?
What's it going to do for us? It's going to make the voices sound different?
It'll sound clearer, and you go under a bridge and you won't lose AM stations.
Well, that'll be nice. Okay, it's 2 minutes before 11 o'clock on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We'll have news, then the break, and then more of your calls. I'm Ira Fistell. Stay with us.
It's 10:58. I'm Stan Green in the KABC News Center with your headline. Los Angeles City Controller Laura Chick said the housing department needs to make some changes or risk losing a $100 million pledge from the mayor. KABC's Steve Gonzalez has more detail.
Laura Chick says while auditing one property, they came across several problems within the housing department.
We're talking about projects that have no oversight, that go over budget, that are over the amount per unit that is allowable.
Mayor Hahn has pledged $100 million to their fund, and Chick says if they can't manage what they've got, they shouldn't get more. In Los Angeles, Steve Gonzalez, 790 KABC.
News a service of Sears. Big weekend sale. 40 to 50% savings throughout the store. Save 30 to 50% on all outerwear. Through Monday, November 11th. Sears. Where else? Exclusions apply. See store for details.
Shaq, you've got questions. We've got answers.
You could win $1 million in the Toys R Us Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets sweepstakes.
Wow.
Just pick up a game piece at participating theaters when you see the movie starting November 15th. Then visit Toys R Us or Kids R Us and scan up the price checker to see if you've won.
Have you seen my flying broom?
Is this it, Jeffrey? Wow.
Yep, that's the one.
No purchase necessary. For a free game piece and official rules, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Harry Potter Game Piece, 1046th Avenue, 20th floor, New York, New York, 10018. While supplies last. Game ends 12/24/02. Open to legal U.S. residents. Void where prohibited.
In the mid-50s. Tomorrow, Veterans Day. Sunny and warm. Highs in the mid-70s to lower 80s. 66 in Canoga Park. 65 in Orange. 67 downtown L.A. at the Civic Center. I'm Stan Green, 790 KABC.
God bless the USA. Talk Radio 790 KABC.
It don't matter to me if you really feel that you need some time to be free. Time to go out searching for yourself. Oh, creature find time to go to find.
All right, 6 minutes after 11 o'clock on Talk Radio 790, 1-800-222-KABC, the number. And we have another hour together. I'm Ira Fistell, and I hope you'll be calling us, and we'll talk about anything and everything on your mind. And our first female caller of the entire evening is going to lead off the hour, and that's Billy in San Juan Capistrano. Hi, Billy. A round of applause for Billy, please, as our first lady caller of the night. Okay, nice to have you on, Billy. What's up?
Thank you. I just wondered what you know about the phrase "on the wrong side of the track" and where it came from.
Well, it's obviously a relatively new thing. It has to be since, say, about 1840, because before that there weren't any tracks.
Right.
In most towns, many towns, I shouldn't say most, but in many towns, the dividing line between the upscale part of town and the working class part of town was the railroad tracks. And you'll find that in many, many communities even today. So if you were from the upscale part of town and you were dating somebody from the other side of town, you were dating somebody from the wrong side of the tracks.
Well, this is funny because I'm listening. I listen to books on tape a lot while I work. And I'm listening, I should say, to the book "Nothing Like It in the World" by Ambrose.
Oh, Stephen Ambrose, yeah, that's about the Transcontinental Railroad. Yeah, sure.
No, well, he states in there that the phrase came because when they stoked the fire or something, the flame and everything came out on the right side of the, out on the tracks on the one side. So anything on where the smoke all came from is why they call it the wrong side of the track, because that's where the smoke comes out.
Well, now, see, the problem with that is you would never know which way the smoke would go unless the wind was blowing the right way.
It was the way the train was set up. I didn't really quite understand.
Well, see, I question that, because the way the smoke goes depends on which way the wind blows.
No, it wasn't just that. It explained it deeper. Just take a look at "Nothing Like It in the World."
Yeah, I never read the whole book, so I have to look at it.
Well, I'm only on the side B of the tape, on the first one, so it's in the very part of the book.
Well, it could very well be that's why the one side of the tracks was cheaper than the other side.
Well, it was. I guess if you're sitting, if you're sitting on the side where the smoke goes out, then that's the wrong side.
Yeah, but don't you see what I'm saying? The smoke goes wherever the wind blows.
I understand that.
Yeah, so that can't be right the way it is. It's got to be something more.
No, but maybe they just, I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
But I'd like to ask you another question about the production of the show. Like, you give credit to your producer.
Yeah.
Okay, how much control over the show does the producer have, since he's the one that puts the telephone calls on?
Well, ultimately, I have the control.
You do. How's that?
Yeah. Well, see, right now, Mark will answer the phone, and he'll talk to you, or he'll talk to Jim, or he'll talk to Sam, or whoever else, and then he'll put the call on the computer screen, and it's saying who you are, where you're calling from, and what you want to talk about, and what line you're on. And then I'll decide which call I want to take.
I see. So, but the producer has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, the producer sets up the calls and offers, puts up what calls are offered, and then I make the decision as to what to take and what not to take.
Well, okay. So does he ever say, we don't have time for your call, and that just not have to take person's
Well, he'll know that. For example, if we get down to 15 minutes before the end of the hour, and we've got 6 calls waiting, there's no way we're going to get 7 calls on the air in 12 minutes.
That's right.
So
he puts every call that he gets on your computer.
Well, unless it's something that for some reason or another we don't want. Now, for example, the producer may say, "Well, we just had that person. That person was on the last previous show," and then we'll say, "No, we're not going to put that person on tonight because he was just on."
I see.
Or sometimes it'll be something where the person is unintelligible, can't be understood on the air. And then Mark will just use his judgment on that. He won't even put the call up.
I see. So what year did you start on KABC?
I started on KABC. Well, I started KABC in 1977. But I started in talk radio in 1968 in Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, because I remember seeing you on television.
Yep.
Talking to someone.
I was on television from about 1980. I think it was about 82 or 80.
Before that, I think they just were talking to you.
Oh,
I think
could
you were being interviewed by someone. Anyway, I can remember the man sitting in a chair and you sitting next to it, if I remember right.
Yeah. Well, I was on television for several years in the early 80s.
You did, but you started at KBC in the 70s.
Oh yeah, I started KBC in 77.
Okay, because I started listening to the talk show because of David Biscott, and then.
Well, David was a little later. David was in the 80s, I believe.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
And anyway, because I started listening to him when I started reading. I started reading his books, and then I started listening to him, and so I've always wondered how the shows, were produced and.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it works.
Before that, I didn't listen much. The Dodgers and David Biscott were probably the first two reasons why I listened.
Yeah, well, of course, the Dodgers were on KABC for years and years.
I know. It was great because I used to work and I do accounting, and, at nights it gets really boring. So it's really neat that's why I listen to tapes. I've got so hooked on these tapes, books,
Books on tape?
Yeah, books on tape. I do my gardening earphones, I do my housework, I work in my office.
Oh, great.
I do all that just by putting it in. So I've read a lot of books in the last few years by just listening to tapes.
Okay. Billy, nice having you call. Call me again, will you?
I will, and I hope everybody else gets a chance to listen to the books on tapes when they don't have time to read.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ira.
Bye-bye. 1-800-222-5222 is the toll-free telephone number. We've got some lines open right now.
You were at KBC at 77?
August 16th, 1977.
Boy, I was 13 years old.
Well, I can't help it if you're so young.
I was 13 years old.
No, that was the date I started, and it was a great story because I was supposed to have started on the 15th, which is a Monday morning. But my car broke down on the way from Chicago to California.
Uh-oh.
And I was stuck in, Alamosa, Colorado.
Wow.
And they couldn't fix the car on Sunday, so I had to wait over the weekend. They fixed the car Monday morning. I get in the car and start driving. I drove 24 hours of the stretch from Colorado to California. Got into L.A. that morning. Called the station about 9 o'clock and said, I'm here. They said, come in right now. We need you this minute to do a show.
Yikes.
So on 24 hours of driving and no sleep, I made my KBC debut at about...
Hi, this is Ira Fistell.
On the morning of the... something like that. On the morning of the 16th. Right.
Yikes.
And then I started out doing the Dodger forecast show, news after the Dodger games, and a weekend talk show.
Wow.
And here I am, how many years later? 25 years later, still doing a weekend talk show.
That's right.
Okay, 1-800-222-KABC is the telephone number. At 15 minutes past 11 o'clock, We have a traffic report coming up. Stan Green is watching that mattress for us in the rain, somewhere in the freeways. Stan?
It's true, and they finally got it out of the way. It was up on the 5. The mattress is out of the way. In Sherman Oaks, there's a problem. A disabled vehicle partially blocking the right lane. This would be on the 101 westbound connector to the 405 southbound. On the 405 southbound connector to the 710 northbound, a disabled vehicle in lanes. In Pomona on the 10 westbound past Kellogg Drive, an injury accident, 2 cars involved, 1 per lane. They're blocking the 2 left lanes. And with a KABC Dependable Traffic Update, I'm Stan Green.
What is it about Jennifer Lopez and Ben that has everyone wanting to know everything? Well, this Wednesday at 10/9 Central on ABC, the wait is over.
Is Ben the one?
Diane, why are you asking that when TVs are on?
Diane Sawyer goes for the lowdown on J-Lo.
Getting married? Are you getting married?
Wednesday, it's the interview you must see.
Are you engaged?
This is like being on the front line. You're really going.
I am.
We're in battle.
That's right.
We've all been talking about J-Lo and Ben. Now, it's J-Lo's turn. And she's talking about everything.
This is too much for me to handle.
And we need everything. Diane Sawyer, J-Lo.
It's the most magnificent thing I've ever seen.
A special primetime hour on a special night. Wednesday at 10/9 Central, right after an all-new Bachelor, only on ABC.
Have you always wanted a home with beautiful hardwood floors? Don't let high prices get in the way of having your home just the way you want it, especially now, because Hardwood Superstore is having their biggest sale of the year. It's going on right now where everything is on sale, from 15 to 25% off their already low prices. Hardwood Superstore is one of the largest wholesalers and retailers of hardwood floors in Los Angeles. Hardwood Superstore has over 1,400 different samples of floors for you to choose from, carrying all the big names like Bruce, Mannington, Robbins, and Anderson, starting as low as $339 a square foot. There are also special deals on laminated floors, Pergo type, starting from $129 a square foot. Don't miss Hardwood Superstore's biggest sale of the year. It's time to change to hardwood floors. You've always wanted to. Now is the best time to buy during the Hardwood Superstore's huge annual sale. Visit their beautiful showroom for yourself. 10,000 square feet of hardwood floors. They're located at 7947 Canoga Avenue in Canoga Park, just between Sherman Way and Roscoe. Call them 866-MY-FLOOR. That's 866-MY-FLOOR. Don't miss this great sale.
Ken Minyard and Dan Avey.
Now the story comes out from an operative. Bill Clinton was the key to the Davis strategy. He ultimately got Davis to launch the preemptive advertising that helped torpedo Richard Riordan.
Well, Dick Riordan's going to be thrilled that all those trips to the White House as mayor simply gave Bill Clinton ammunition he could use against him when he ran for governor.
That's right.
The show you'll talk about all day, weekday mornings from 5 to 9. Ken and Company, only on Talk Radio 790, KABC. Red, white, and blue. Talk Radio 790, KABC.
Who draws the crowd and plays so loud, baby? It's the guitar man.
Doesn't this sound like something else? Bojangles?
Sort of. Yeah, sort of sounds like Bojangles.
Sounds like a ripoff.
Oh, I don't know if it's
sounds like a ripoff to me.
Ira Fistell, the jaded talk show host.
It's 18 minutes after 11 o'clock. Mario, you're Italian. You know what I saw in the other room here? I was looking for it just now. I couldn't find it.
What's that?
The Sopranos cookbook.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And on the cover is a picture of Tony Soprano and all his guys sitting around the table. And underneath it says, recipes by so-and-so, compiled by, what's his name? Artie Bucco.
Oh, really?
The restaurant guy in The Sopranos.
Oh, okay.
It's a great-looking book. I didn't see the inside of it. I was looking for it just now. I couldn't find it.
Are they real recipes?
I suppose so. I don't know. I wonder how to cook a cookbook with how to turn poison mushrooms or something.
So I thought maybe it was like how to cook your enemy or something.
How to cook your enemy's goose.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's Martha Stewart's cookbook.
Oh, hello.
How to cook your own
2, 3, 4. Is this on?
Yes, it is.
Don't forget to tip your waiter.
Are you trying to convince me? Are you trying to give me some kind of a message there? 19 minutes after 11 o'clock at Talk Radio 790 KBC. Jim in Los Angeles, you're on the air. I'm Ira Fistell. Hi.
Ira.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, about the value of the commodity gold.
Do you know that an ounce of gold can stretch a superconductive wire a mile long? And whenever they have a super something that has to not fail, they gold plate it? That sounds like a pretty good commodity to me.
Well, it's worthless for most things. It may be worth something for that, but I don't know how much of it you're going to use that way.
All right. Well, as far as liberal talk show hosts go, I think the reason they fail is the same reasons the magicians wouldn't go over too good on the radio. It's very hard to misdirect.
It's got nothing to do with misdirection, Jim.
Sure it does.
No, it doesn't. Liberal...
Do you notice whenever a Democrat liberal is asked a question, the answer has absolutely nothing to do with the question?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Most of us do.
No, you're wrong. That's all. We've had so many complaints about conservative talk show hosts. Now you're complaining about liberal talk show hosts.
I'm just saying why they fail.
They don't fail. They don't fail. But the difference is there are more conservative listeners to talk radio. That's why there are more conservative talk show hosts, because they attract more listeners.
So you don't think you personally think when somebody asks a Democrat liberal a question, he answers the question and he doesn't...
and no different from anybody else. There's no difference between liberals, conservatives, what have you. People are all alike.
Okay. All right, well, that's my 2 cents, I think.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. No, I don't think there's any difference whatsoever between one kind of person or another. If we had one of our extreme liberals on, they'd probably say, did you ever notice how conservatives don't answer the question? I mean, that's the kind of criticism that one side always makes about the other. But the fact that they both make it about each other tells you that neither one of them is right. That's why I like to be, I like the idea of not being classified one way or another. Because it's so easy to instead of listening to what the person's really saying, say, oh, well, he belongs to that group or she belongs to that group, and therefore we don't listen to them, To be tagged with a name of a group and then assuming that everybody in the group is the same, that kind of groupthink is always wrong. It doesn't account for the fact that people are not easily defined that way. Everybody's different. Okay, everybody's different, but in the sense of having different reactions to other people, everybody's the same in that way, too. Okay, let's take another call. Sam in Los Angeles. Hi, Sam. You're on the air on Talk Radio 790.
Good evening, Ira. I have 2 questions about 2 Czech composers.
Oh, okay.
Early in the program, however, they had they mentioned the tune, the commercial Double Mint Gum.
Yeah.
Well, now this is taken verbatim from a classic piece. Now, do you know the name of that piece and the composer?
Double Mint Gum?
That's right. Da 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 dee da 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 la dee da da dee da da dee da da da.
Well, I recognize what you're singing. That's the Double Mint Gum commercial, all right.
Verbatim from a classic piece.
Well, if it is, I don't know it, I guess.
Well, maybe some of your listeners...
No, tell me what it is, because it's unlikely anybody's going to get it. What is it?
I'm sorry?
What is it from?
No, I don't know myself.
Oh, you don't know?
I heard the classic. I heard it.
Oh.
Now, something else, before I go to the Czech composer. Have you ever heard this tune? You can tell the depth of the well by the length of the handle of the pump. You ever heard that before?
No.
This was a tune from the colonial times. Colonial times in this country.
Now, I don't know. Mario's puzzling over this.
You can tell the depth of the well by the length of the handle of the pump. Okay, now I have a question. 2 questions about 2 Czech composers.
Okay.
One is Dvorak.
Yeah.
I don't know why they call it Dvorak, because it's spelled Dvorak.
That's right.
Of course, I don't speak Czech. So
yeah, well, apparently in Czech there's an accent mark or something that makes it called Dvorak.
A mark on the R and a mark on the A.
Yeah, and that's why it's pronounced the way it is.
I see. And then you have Smetana now.
Uh-huh.
You know the Smetana has a piece that is very similar to the Hatikva, which is the name of the Israeli
That's right.
anthem.
Both of those.
Is that a coincidence?
No, it's not, because both of those pieces were taken from a Czech folk song.
Oh.
The melody for Hatikva has nothing to do with Israel. It was a Czech folk melody.
Really?
Yeah.
Now,
not the words, but the melody.
I see. Now, I also read that I think the Dvorak was much more productive, fertile than Smetana, and I think the reason is perhaps because Dvorak's parents encouraged him to be a musician, a composer.
Well, Dvorak was
Smetana, the parents were against it.
But in case of Dvorak, if I'm not mistaken, he was apprenticed to a butcher. He didn't become a composer until much later.
But the parents always supported him, whereas Smetana...
No, I think Smetana is a very great composer, but Smetana was much earlier. And Dvorak happens to have had just an incredible gift of melody, and just happens to be one of the greatest composers who ever lived in any country.
Well, my point is that I think if his parents, Smetana's parents, would be more supportive of him, he would have been more prolific.
I doubt that.
In my opinion.
I don't see how you can say that.
Well, because Dvorak is very prolific.
Yeah, but he happened to be one of the greatest melodic geniuses who ever wrote music anywhere. Smetana wrote some very good works. Smetana is a great composer.
By the way, do people in the Czech Republic speak the same language like in the Slovak Republic?
Czech and Slovak, I don't think are the same. I shouldn't really say, but I don't think they're the same.
You know, they split. You know that. Czechoslovakia was...
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I don't know...
well, I'll tell you, maybe we'll get somebody who will know that for sure, but I do not think it's exactly the same.
Okay, well, the best of luck.
Thank you. Now, the thing about the Hatikva, it's da-da-da-da-da-da-da, it's the same as the tune as the Moldau by Smetana. But the reason is because it was a Czech folk tune. So that's why the two pieces sound the same. Honey, you're on the air on KABC.
Hi.
Good morning, or good evening, I should say.
Speaking about differences, the Republican Party has really changed. They were for, controlling immigration and everything, and now they want to open the borders.
Well, traditionally, the Republican Party always would have been for open borders.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, don't you remember the Republicans had that proposition?
Well, I know, but that was Pete Wilson. But if you go back to the founding of the Republican Party in 1854, throughout most of the time, probably up until the end of World War I, the Republican Party always was for open borders.
Oh, I thought it was the Democrats. But Ira, in lieu of what happened in New York and what happened in Bali, these terrorists are coming in illegally on the borders, and
well, you can't stop people from coming in.
Well, yes, you can.
No, you can't.
It's illegal.
You cannot stop people from coming if they want to come.
Yes, you can, Ira.
No, you can't, honey.
What about sovereignty?
There is no such thing anymore. In practical terms, the communications the way it is now, you cannot control anything that much. It's just not possible.
But
how many thousand miles of border do we have in this country?
Well, we have...
Okay? I can give you an idea. There's probably 5,000 miles of border, excluding Alaska, which has obviously far more. In addition to that, how many miles of seacoast do you have?
I really don't know, to be honest.
Well, thousands and thousands and thousands.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. You cannot control every inch of that or every block of that.
Well, these two snipers that they have in custody, I think one of them was illegal, the younger one.
Yeah, he was brought in by somebody else. He was a kid.
Oh, and also some of the ones responsible for the Trade Center bombing were illegal.
Well, no, they came in on visas.
That's right, yeah.
They were in the country legally. They may have stayed too long. That may have been... but they did come in to the country. If I'm not mistaken, they came out on legal visas.
But I'm afraid if we open the borders, that all kinds of bad people will come in.
Stop. Honey, we got enough bad ones of here of our own. We don't have to worry about that.
We don't need it anymore.
Yeah. No, seriously, that's not something that I stay awake nights worrying about.
You know, I'm not going to stay up nights, but you know, you don't believe we have sovereignty anymore?
Well, no country does, practically. There's no such thing as sovereignty in the sense that you lock the borders and keep everybody else out. That just is not practical anymore.
Who's not legal. Now.
But how do you can't stop people from coming?
Well, how come my grandparents came on Ellis Island?
Because it was legal for anybody. It was open borders.
No, but they had to apply.
No, you didn't have to apply. All you had to do was show up with a sponsor that guaranteed that you wouldn't be a public burden, and have reasonable help, good help.
So you couldn't go on welfare when you came here.
Well, there wasn't any welfare.
You know, I have a friend who's a nurse at USC General Hospital, and she says at the maternity ward, the women have to sleep, in the hallway.
It's so crowded, you mean?
Because it's so crowded. And
yeah.
She said that the majority of them don't even speak English. And some of them say, don't tell immigration, But
well, look, that doesn't make any difference anyway.
Well, they want to close the hospitals and the trauma centers.
Well, thank goodness they're not going to have to do that now.
I hope not.
Well, no, I think they just passed the bond issue to keep it from happening.
Yeah.
But as far as that's concerned, people speak, I don't know how many different languages in the LA public schools. There's like 80 some odd different languages spoken.
Ira, you gave me something to think about, and that is, how can we control the borders?
You can't.
That's right.
You can control to a certain extent, but you cannot control 100%.
You'd have to have the whole army there.
You'd have to have far more army than you ever have.
Well, Ira, one thing about you always give me something to think about.
Well, thank you.
Sometimes you change my opinion, too.
Oh, thank you. Okay, honey.
You do a wonderful job.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. 29 minutes before 12 o'clock, and that's time for the latest KABC News. And that means it's time for Stan Green to report. Stan?
Thank you, Ira. From the KABC News Center, here are the headlines. Long Beach City officials and police are offering a $50,000 reward to anyone providing information leading to the arrest of the serial rapist responsible for over 30 sexual assaults in the Long Beach area. The Bush administration has reportedly settled on a battle plan. The Washington Post reports that airstrikes backed by a quick use of ground troops are what the plans are, but military officials say that they believe Saddam Hussein would be forced from power before troops would enter the country's capital. KABC News Time, 11:32. The ABC 7 forecast clear with west-northwest winds to 20 miles per hour, lows in the 40s to mid-50s. Later, Monday, tomorrow, Veterans Day, sunny and warm, highs in the mid-70s mostly, lower 80s inland. Right now, 65 in Canoga Park, 66 in Fullerton, and 67 in LA at the Civic Center. On the KABC Dependable Traffic Watch, a KABC traffic alert in orange on the 22 westbound Main Street off-ramp, blocked with an injury crash. South Central Los Angeles Harbor Freeway, the 110 southbound Slauson Avenue off-ramp, blocked by a disabled vehicle. And in Sherman Oaks on the 101, the Ventura Freeway westbound connector to the 405 south, a disabled vehicle partially blocking the right lane. With a KABC Dependable Traffic Update, I'm Stan Green.
When I was a kid, we were poor. I remember days when I'd come home from school starving. I'd open the fridge, there'd be nothing. Then I'd close the door and open it again, hoping food would magically appear. Luckily, I've got a good life now and don't have to worry about something as basic as food. But it's really sad how so many children, through no fault of their own, still don't have enough to eat. So sometimes when I go shopping, I'll buy some extra food that's on sale and drop it off at my local food pantry. If this is what I can do to prevent a helpless child or a senior citizen from going hungry, well, it's a pretty small price to pay.
More than 1 million people in LA County don't have enough to eat. Help us get food to the people who need it. Call the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank at 877-NO-HUNGER. 877-NO-HUNGER. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank. We don't fight hunger just during the holidays. We fight hunger all year long.
KABC, because we care.
What was your cable TV bill last month? Do you remember what you paid 10 years ago? Have you noticed the price of movie tickets lately? Are you seeing a pattern here? The cost of our basic information and entertainment needs keeps going up. But there is one medium that is still free, and you're listening to it. Local radio. Support the advertisers that support this radio station, and keep listening. We won't send you a bill. There is still some things you just shouldn't have to pay for.
The Al Rantel Show.
The black vote for Jeb Bush, 5%. Blacks may have voted as high as 95% Democrat in the state of Florida, which only goes to show that, they're going to make themselves politically irrelevant. So if they want the Republican Party to include them, you have to give and take. Nonetheless, Jeb Bush won.
But that 5% of the black vote is very tight with Harry Belafonte.
A voice speaking the truth in the night. Weeknights from 7 to 10. Al Rantel. Only on Talk Radio 790. KABC.
This is Peter Jennings. Talk Radio 790 KABC is the only radio station in Los Angeles with the full resources of ABC News. We'll have reports from most parts of the world 24 hours a day on Talk Radio 790 KABC.
25 minutes before 12 o'clock on Talk Radio 790. Now, what's this we're listening to?
This is a song called If. Now, this is the song I told you about that was just a monster hit for this group.
Oh, I remember hearing the melody, but I never paid any attention to the words.
No. Really pretty song. It's played at weddings like all the time.
Sunrise, sunset. The next time I hear sunrise, sunset at a wedding,
right?
I am going to scream.
Well, those are the standards. And Daddy's Little Girl, and Hey, that caller, that last caller we had about the was about the double mint gum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I found out. I did a little research, and what it's from is it's a lost piece by Tchaikovsky called "The Lost Bubblegum Dances."
Oh, sure. I believe that. Oh, come on, Mario. You think I'm going to buy something like that? Not even at double the price? Eddie in Hawthorne, you're on the air on KABC.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
I like your show.
Thank you.
Because you're free with your show. You don't have that controlling spirit like some of the hosts do. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about is how we were years ago. Like the things that we did, the guys are making money off of it now. For instance, the skateboard.
Yeah?
Well, we made those years ago. We called them skatamobiles. We would take a 2x4.
Yeah.
A long one, and put an orange crate box on it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And putting handles on it.
Yeah.
And zoom, zoom, zoom.
And it was on a roller skate.
Yeah, on roller skates. The skates you could break apart, and they were clamps. And you could take the front skate off, they put it in the front. And underneath it had a little bit of rubber in it.
Yeah.
You took that rubber out, and you could turn with it.
Yeah, I remember seeing kids use those when I was young. I never did, but I remember seeing other kids use them.
Yeah, we used to make those. And there's something else I'd like to tell you. You know how they claim rap? But the first rap record actually came out in the 40s. A guy named Louis Jordan came out with a record called Brother Beware.
I don't know that one.
No, if you could ever get it, it's the old one. And that's the first rap record that ever came out, but that was clean and funny.
Uh-huh.
You would really enjoy it if you ever got it. In fact, I'm looking for it now, and it's a place up on Pico. I can't give the address, I guess.
Well,
Pico Boulevard, they sell the old records like that.
I hope you find it.
Yeah, I will, because I found the Stone Cold Dead in the Market with Louis Jordan and Ella Fitzgerald.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you know that either. That's before your time.
Probably.
But anyway, that's what I called about, to tell you how we were back there. See, we didn't get everything on a silver platter. We had to make what we had.
Yeah. Did you grow up in L.A. or somewhere else?
No, I grew up in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia? Yeah.
Yeah, and we used to shovel pavements and make money. And we used to have the supermarkets. Nobody had cars then. We had those wagons. We put sides on them. We go to the market, and we'd pull the people groceries home.
Uh-huh. Take groceries home for them, and then they give you a quarter or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did all of that, but see, everything nowadays is just, I can't accept it myself. Because the old ways, you walk down the street, no matter who it was, they would say good morning.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you walk down the street, you say good morning. You know what I mean?
Not always. I go to the supermarket in the morning, and I'll say good morning to people, and they'll say good morning to me. This morning, somebody walked by. I didn't know who he was. Just somebody at the supermarket just says good morning. I said, hi, how are you? You know.
Oh, that's good. Well, some of the people don't. I spoke to a young fella, a teenager. I spoke to him, and he was so surprised. He was startled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he said, "Oh, good morning, good morning."
Yeah, because people just don't do it enough.
Yeah, they don't.
Well, part of that's because we lead such closed-in lives, you know. It used to be people sat on their front porches and talked to people who went by. Who sits on a front porch nowadays?
Yeah, you can't do that. We used to leave the doors open at night, and the only one would come in there would be a stray dog.
How did he get the door open?
No, we leave it open.
Oh, you just leave it standing open?
Yeah, just leave it wide open. And,
Yeah.
And we would go to sleep, and nobody would bother us except
Yeah.
maybe a stray dog.
Well, I don't think you want to do that now.
Well, no, you can't do anything like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But a lot of things have to do with the radios too, and with not radios actually, but television, the stuff you see on TV.
Yeah, yeah.
It's terrible.
Hey, good call, Eddie. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Call me again. Let's talk some more.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye-bye. We got some room for calls right now. It's 20 minutes before 12 o'clock, and we have some lines open, so if you'll call right now, you have a good chance of getting on. 1-800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, and that is toll-free. Want to thank Timothy and Elsie in Tahunga, who sent me a letter destined for Marvin. I'll see to it that he gets it. And I wanted to thank Richard in Van Nuys for his letter. And I mentioned Margaret last night, who sent me that wonderful book on the lost ballparks. I just wanted to mention it again in case she wasn't listening last night. I got the book, Margaret.
How was that?
Oh, it's a gorgeous book.
Did you look at it last night?
Yeah,
when you got home?
well, I'd seen it before. I'd seen the book. I just didn't have it. But she sent it to me. And she couldn't have sent me anything I would have liked more. You know, baseball parks I'm just fascinated by them anyway.
I think I've only seen Dodger Stadium and
Big Ed?
And yeah, and that's it.
Oh, you missed a lot of great parks.
Oh, I'd love to see some of the parks back east. I bet you they're magnificent.
I saw the old Polo Grounds. I saw the Giants play in the old Polo Grounds in the 50s. Never saw a game at Ebbets Field, but I saw the Giants play in the Polo Grounds, saw the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, Red Sox at Fenway, Pittsburgh Pirates when they were in Forbes Field. I loved Forbes Field. The Cincinnati Reds and the old Cincinnati ballpark, Crosby Field. Never saw a game at Shide Park. Saw it from the outside, but never saw it from the inside.
You said you saw Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, before they rebuilt it.
Yeah.
When it was the old Yankee Stadium.
Billy Crystal said one time in an interview, he said that when he was a kid, he used to watch Yankee games all the time on TV, and when his dad took him to his first Yankee game, he was about 7, and as he walked through the hall out onto the seats, he says he was so amazed at how green the grass was.
Yeah.
Because it was black and white TV.
Yeah. Okay, let's take another phone call here. This is Helen in Redondo Beach. Hi, Helen. What can I do for you?
Hi, Ira. I like your show.
Thank you.
I love this opera by Puccini. And I don't know how to pronounce the title. It's either Turandot or Turandot.
Yeah, well, it depends whether you're pronouncing it French or Italian.
Oh, because, you see, the librarian told me it was Turandot. And so I thought, well, why would it be a French title? It's about China, and he's Italian.
Yeah, it is, in Italian it would be Turandot.
So you would say dot?
Yeah.
And not do?
Yeah, although it's often pronounced Turandot.
Okay, well, that's all I wanted to know. Are you familiar with that opera?
Oh, sure.
It's wonderful. The music is absolutely beautiful.
Well, Puccini wrote that at the very end of his life. He didn't finish it. He died in the middle of the third act before it was finished.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was completed by a composer named Franco Alfano, who wrote an ending for it. Well, Toscanini, the conductor, when he first performed the opera, he didn't play the Alfano ending at all. He just stopped where Puccini stopped and said, at this point, the maestro died.
Oh.
But then it became common practice to play some of the Alfano ending. Alfano wrote more than is commonly played. Toscanini edited that down to what he thought was a better length. And it was because of Toscanini that Alfano got the job in the first place. So the answer that we've been having with, the way we've been hearing Turandot for all these years is with the Alfano ending as edited by Toscanini. But just a couple of years ago, Luciano Berio, I believe, wrote a new ending to it, which I've only heard once. And they did it here in Los Angeles with the Berio ending last time they did it.
Now, what was that ending?
Well, like I say, I've only heard it once. I don't know how to describe it.
Oh, I see, because I just got the videotape from the library.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, what you've got probably has the Alfano ending and the common version.
Right. Well, thank you, Ira. I thought probably you'd know the answer.
Yeah. Well, you can call it either way you like. It could be Turandot or Turandot, either way.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's a great opera.
Oh, yeah. But,
my favorite song is in that.
It is?
My very favorite song.
Am I writing for a fall here?
No, Nessun Dorma.
Nessun Dorma.
It's the best thing. Every time I hear that, it brings me to tears.
No one shall
Every
sleep
single
tonight
time.
in Peking. Nessun Dorma, Nessun Dorma. Puccini did write that before he died. It was the third act, but he got it finished before he died.
The last words are, was it I Will Be Victorious?
Vincerò,
Yeah.
Vincerò. All'alba vincerò. By dawn I will win.
By dawn I will win, right.
It's 15 minutes before 12 o'clock on Talk Radio 790 KABC. And here with one last look at Sunday night traffic is Stan Green. Stan?
Thanks, Ira. Let's start out with a KABC traffic alert in Paramount on the 105 westbound, connector to the 710 northbound. It's an injury accident, single vehicle overturned and over the side, so that transition road between the 105 westbound and the 710 north will be closed for some time to come. KABC traffic alert in orange on the 22 westbound Main Street off-ramp, a vehicle into a light pole, and that transition road is closed. In industry on the 605 southbound before the Pomona Freeway, a single car involved at the center divider, and in Lakewood, 605 southbound just before Carson, someone lost some sheet metal. It's in the middle lanes. With a KABC dependable traffic update, I'm Stan Green.
One more correct answer, and you're the big winner in the Social Security quiz. And here we go. What will the Social Security statement tell you about your retirement? A, the date you should retire. B, how much you can expect your Social Security benefits to be. Or C, what you will owe in taxes.
I know this. I remember getting my Social Security statement in the mail, and I know it's B.
Are you absolutely sure?
Yes, that's my final answer.
Well, you're right. Congratulations.
Retirement planning is not a game. Watch your mail for your Social Security statement and use it to plan your financial future. Remember, Social Security should only be part, not all, of your retirement income. The future is in your hands.
Talk Radio 790 KABC, because we care. 790 KABC, the right station, the right time. Get everything you want to know to get you through the day with Ken and Company, weekday morning from 5 to 9. And it's the radio version of the hit TV show, The Radio Factor with Bill O'Reilly from 9 to 11. Review the day's issues with Al Rantel from 11 to 11:45. Then it's Talk Radio's fastest growing personality, Sean Hannity from noon to 3. Larry Elder drives you and his opinions home from 3 to 7. And Al Rantel returns at 7 with the stuff you'll talk about tomorrow. Talk Radio 790 KABC. Where America comes first. Land of the free. Home of the brave. Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Oh, here we go. A familiar tune by a familiar group. Winchester Cathedral, You're Bringing Me Down. You stood and you watched as my baby left town. How do you like my rap song? KABC time is 12 minutes before 12 o'clock. Andre and Tustin, you got a question or an answer?
Yes, good evening, Ira.
How you doing?
Before I get to answer the question, I just wanted to thank you for the interview you had a couple of weeks ago with the biographer on Sandy Koufax. I saw your show that evening by accident, and that was fantastic. I remember...
well, she was very good. Jean Levy is her name. Jean Levy.
We spent a lot of time talking about his perfect game. I remember in the late 70s, Jeff Witcher used to work with the KABC, interviewed Vin Scully, who called that perfect game, and he spent some time talking about it and even played a little audio clip from the ninth inning.
Yeah, that was taped. The ninth inning was taped. Vin had them do it himself.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tape games regularly in those days. But Vin called back to the studio and said, please tape this broadcast. So they did, and the ninth inning of that game has been transcribed, and it appeared in a number of anthologies.
Well, I have to tell you that
word for word.
I had recorded that interview that Witcher did in '78 on a cassette here myself. I still have it.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I'm sorry. The call that you got a few minutes ago, caller mentioned Louis Jordan's "Beware, Brother, Beware."
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out. Now, I'm not going to address the argument about whether that constitutes early form of rap, but it is funny, and it was released in the middle 50s on a Mercury label LP called "Somebody Up There Digs Me." Now, I never saw that. I've never seen that on CD, but apparently there were a couple of albums of his that were put together in a composition CD called Louis Jordan Rock and Roll, and it includes that song that the caller asked about. In fact, I bought a copy of it about 6 months ago.
Uh-huh.
So it is in print.
So he can find it eventually.
Yeah, he will find it.
He said he thought he would.
Well, the thing is, I'm just calling to say that, yes, it's out there, and it's the recording or the performance of it that's available is the 1955 reissue, the arrangements for which were done by a then young, unknown producer by the name of Quincy Jones.
Oh, sure. Not unknown anymore.
Certainly not. But what happens, and the reason I'm familiar with it, I'm in my early 40s, but my grandparents, when I was growing up, had some Louis Jordan records, including that Mercury LP I mentioned. And so, just out of my own, just for my own curiosity, because that LP long disappeared, I went searching for that set of Louis Jordan performances, about a year ago, and came across the fact that that album and another with it together had been issued on that CD called Rock and Roll.
Okay, so you can find it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Very good.
Call me again, Andre.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye. Sherry, and wherever you are on your cell phone.
Yes, Sherry got a little nervous, so I'm going to answer the question for her.
Okay.
My name is Wendell.
Okay, Wendell, you're up.
Okay, we were concerned, we wanted to ask, do you think the economy is getting better, or is it getting worse for the common person now that Bush is in office?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that Bush is in office. But I don't think the economy is healthy right now. No, and I don't see it getting better that quickly either.
Okay. Another question, the housing market. I don't know if you can help us with this. A lot of people are saying that the housing is getting ready to go down. Would you agree with that? Or
that seems to be what a lot of people feel, that the housing market has been up for a long time now, partly because there are so many people who have refinanced on lower interest rates. But unless interest rates keep going down further, or unless people come up with more money to buy houses somehow, it can't go on indefinitely. It just can't go on indefinitely. We were playing bridge the other day, and our partner's neighbor just sold their house. The reason they sold it is not because they wanted to move, but because they got such a good price for it, they couldn't resist it. And they figured, no, it's not going to stay up like this forever. We'll sell now and pocket the money, and we'll get a nicer house later.
do you think that it'll drop like it dropped about 8 years ago?
I can't predict that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did go down, yes. But I can't tell you that. I don't know.
Do you have any idea how long it'll be before it drops?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I can only guess that it probably will go down because it's been up so high for so long. That's the only reason why I think it'll be going down, because I just don't see how it can sustain itself indefinitely. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call. ABC time is 7 minutes before 11, and before 12, I should say. The housing market and the car market have been what's been keeping the consumer economy going, and the car market's already slowing down, and every indication is that the housing market can't stay where it is forever. There just aren't that many people with money, and not enough houses that people can sell at the same price level. The more houses come on the market, the lower the price level will go. Sooner or later, it's got to go down. How far down and when, I don't know. Raleigh in West Los Angeles, you're on the air on KABC.
How you doing, Ira?
Good, thank you.
You know, I think you may have forgotten to mention one of the greatest ballparks of all time.
Well,
that is, well, it's...
You don't mean that ramshackle place on the north side of Chicago, do you?
Oh, come on, Ira.
Nobody'd go near that place.
Well, everyone else... Well, everyone else has succumbed to advertising and, you know, night lights. And, I mean, this is the only one that has held tradition, you know? I mean, it's beautiful.
It's not beautiful. It's not beautiful. It does have an ambiance to it, but it's not beautiful.
Oh, Ira.
I grew up in Chicago. I know the Chicago ballpark.
You're just letting your this obsessive love for the Sox, you know, cloud your mind.
You're just letting your obsessive love for the Cubs cloud your mind, like most other Cubs fans.
Ira,
their minds have been clouded for 94 years.
You're talking about next year's world champs. Do you realize that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, Dusty's going there, okay?
If he does, he's not as smart as I think he is.
What?
If Dusty takes that job, he's not as smart as I think he is. I think he may wind up with the Mariners.
Everything is going to be turned around.
Never happened. It can't happen. It's the Cubs. Don't you know that? Don't you know what Cubs spells? C-U-B-S.
C-U-B-S?
Yeah, you know what that spells? It spells lose.
Lose?
That's right.
Oh, my God.
I told you why the Cubs are in the National League, didn't I? You know why the Cubs are in the National League?
Well, let me hear it.
Well, because when they make out the standings, every time a team wins, another team has to lose. The Cubs are in the National League to lose all the games that the other teams win. And make the standings even out. That's why the Cubs are there.
Boy, Ira, I hate to say it, but remember, I don't want to say I told you so, but remember next year.
They lost 95 games this year, so next year they'll lose 96.
Oh, God. Okay, Ira.
Okay, Raleigh.
Take it easy, buddy.
Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, I love teasing Cub fans. They're so serious. They take it so seriously. 94 years since the last World Championship.
You don't like Sammy? You don't like Sammy Sosa?
Sammy Sosa?
Oh, man. Come on now.
Yeah, sure, Sammy Sosa. Never saw an infielder, never saw a cutoff man he liked.
Well, you got to at least Sammy did something that very few guys have done. As he hit, what was it, 62 home runs in the season? 63?
He hit 60 in 3 years in a row, over 60.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Well, yeah, but what does it do for his team?
Well,
they're still the Cubs.
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately,
they're still the Cubs. Doesn't matter who plays for them. They're still the Cubs. And you know the Cubs lose. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, that's what they're there for.
Oh yeah, I mean
that's just evil.
That's what they're there for. That's why there's a team called the Cubs, so they can lose all these games. You know.
This is why we're not syndicated in Chicago, because people would be calling and going, "Are you insane?"
Oh yeah, I'm from the South Side. That's all I have to say. They understand in Chicago. Anyway, we're out of time. Good grief, how did that happen? Tomorrow is a holiday. It's Veterans Day. So have a safe holiday tomorrow. I'm going to be off from school tomorrow. I got to get my grades in Tuesday. I don't know what else I'll do tomorrow, but enjoy the holiday. And then we'll see you next Saturday night. And then a week from tonight, Sunday night, Landmark L.A. will be our subject. All the landmarks in the city of Los Angeles. We'll be talking about them a week from tonight. I'm Ira Fistell. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's program. It was a great show with our guest tonight, Ed Morris. Terrific interview with him. See you next Saturday night and Sunday night. Take it easy. Have a great week. So long, everybody.